So today I want to talk about one of my 3 key dopamine hits from home that are so important, especially in early sobriety. I talked already about cold shower finishes, another is exercise, and the third today is sharing, because sharing is caring. You know, when I was a learner, not a lurker, but a learner in, a sober Zoom community for about 3 to 4 months before a woman named Molly shared for just 10 seconds. And I thought, wow, it can be that easy. You don't have to fill the full 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I just raised my hand and babbled for a couple minutes, and it was amazing. And after that, I broke down like I'd never had before. After the call. That is, when I was alone, I was convulsing, and it was incredibly cathartic. And I've been sharing basically ever since. And a guy I just talked today, a long time, he's been 33 years sober, and he still shares pretty much every day. Part of it is just service, giving back, and helping others helps yourself. And he talked about how early on, his sponsor said to him, "Hey, did you notice how the same people tend to share in every meeting?" And it's so true. The ones that consistently do it, like myself, are often in the best place. And I like to say, call it my own made up stat, but that sharing accelerates recovery by 433%. So it's not easy to do for the first time or the second time. I still say it's almost like cold shower finishes. Every time I think, oh man, do I really have to do this? But then as soon as I raise my hand, more so as soon as I start speaking, the healing begins. So, the topic today, another than just attending meetings. Even if you're not prepared to share, they also have online forums where you can just share in writing that people love. They also have topics that are really great. And today's topic was about how, it was a Brene Brown quote. She's an amazing speaker and author. And it was about how owning our own story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Again, owning a story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. And to that, when I spoke, I added I have a million Brene Brown quotes, but because the speaker talked about joy and vulnerability as part of that process. And so I shared a few quotes, one being that vulnerability, according to Brene, is the greatest measure of courage. And I really resonated with that. When I'm now 7.5 months sober, going on infinity, and it was more about 8.5 months ago that I was losing the battle. And I didn't share for about a week because I knew I couldn't share without breaking down. I knew the moment I opened my mouth, I was gonna lose it. And I went out for a run. It was a Wednesday. I came home and said, screw it, I'm doing it. It was a noon call, and I shared, and I cried through the whole thing. And then I shared again the next morning. I quasi-sang the song Rise Up by Audrey Day, an amazingly inspirational song, and I cried right through that. But it really helped, and it did make me feel courageous and was a key part of getting me to where I am now. Another quote she said was how joy is the most vulnerable emotion of all, which might sound a little surprising, but totally makes sense, right? And I struggle with that. Even when I give a great share and people in the chat give me kudos, I really struggle with taking those compliments. I'm sure many can relate, right? Helps explain why for a lot of us just receiving compliments is so hard. And so Brene basically said she learned that the people who were most equipped to tolerate joy were those who practiced gratitude. And she said once she learned that, she doubled down on the practice. And she also said practicing gratitude reduces rates of depression, increases dopamine and serotonin levels, and leads to overall better mental health. And I always think I don't practice gratitude, but the group I'm in is called The Luckiest Club, based on the book We Are the Luckiest. And I say it all the time. We truly are the luckiest. And what the author Laura McCowan talks about a lot is how, by having this little addiction disorder of ours, we are forced to do the work, which includes sharing, talking about our feelings. And for me, and hopefully most, are going to therapy, which everybody needs. And she says this is something everybody needs, but we're just forced to do it as part of this process. I love to say therapy is like, I think I said it last call, personal coaching for your life. But sharing is also a form of therapy. And the calls are a form of group therapy. And that's again why we're lucky. I never would have tried group therapy in my life. And now I do it every day. And my new addiction is these calls. Not only sharing on them, but also just listening on them. And I get something out of every call. There's a gem in every call. I take tons of notes, and it's just amazing. So I cannot encourage sharing enough. It's a key part of the recovery process. And as I say, you have to replace the dopamine hits, the artificial dopamine hits you got from alcohol, with natural ones. And sharing is to me a key part of that. And again, something I can do from home, which we often need to do in the especially early days of sobriety as we continue to harm ourselves. So, cold shower finishes, which I often do before I share, because I come out of there feeling great, if you heard that share, and I'm ready to roll and give my share because it gives me strength and energy, etc. So, and exercise, of course. I read a meme just today saying it's the most underused antidepressant. I always said it was the greatest happy pill, although that meme said sunshine is the greatest happy pill. Either way, that'll do it. As always, please like, share, subscribe, etc. And remember, stronger, sober. Thanks. All right, second overtime segment ever. I like these so much more. I feel so much less pressure, which is big reason of why I drank. And I'm still trying to match the energy and enthusiasm I have on my community shares, which is killing me. But when it's pre-recorded, just that perfectionist voice, so much tougher. And this process is brutal for that. Recording the first pass, I can hear my own voice, and if I so much as think I mispronounced the word, it paralyzes my brain. And then I have to listen back to it, and then I send it to my editor, who helps me with the inserts. I kind of tell him what to put in, so I have to watch it back and kind of give comments of what to insert, and then he sends it back to me, and I have to review it again, and then send it back to him and kind of review it again. So it is a brutal process, and question everything along the lines, and if this isn't energetic enough, or this one video isn't good enough, people won't come back, sort of just like I did at my pizza shop. Anyway, as far as sharing, some things I left out. I did say sharing is caring, that cliche, but it really is caring in terms of self-care. Even just attending meetings, you have to make the time. I'd be at my pizza shop, I'd have my Bose noise cancel headphones on while we were open, even while we were busy. I would obviously take them off while I talked to customers, but otherwise I'd have those things on at least in one ear and trying to listen as much as I could. So you gotta make every effort to attend every meeting you can, as that you never know what you're gonna miss. As I said, there's a gem in every meeting. And I mentioned I'm addicted to meetings now. I said alcohol was my kryptonite, and sharing is my elixir. And then as far as, AA, I'm talking about online meetings. I have gone to AA meetings, particularly before COVID, and I used to just stand at the wall. I'm a stander anyway, and I would just get there right when they started and then peace out as soon as it ended, especially the serenity prayer. I'd have to hold hands, and I'd usually even check out before then. So I'm actually dying to go back and share an in-person AA meeting, which my buddy Matt thinks is more challenging anyway. I think it'll be just as exciting, but we'll see. Stay tuned for that. And then the last thing is, I think the biggest reason people don't share or are reluctant is because they're worried about being judging. And of course, we judge ourselves the most. So, things to keep in mind, two things really. Perspective, nobody's thinking about your share after the fact other than you. Unless something really insane happened, which I'm sure it didn't. So, people suffer from, they're called vulnerability hangovers. Poor us, we go from one kind of hangover to another. But, and I learned it's actually a Brene Brown term, that's a feeling of discomfort, regret, or shame that occurs after sharing personal information. But I used to feel it, I never do now. Because again, nobody's thinking about the share besides me afterwards. And then the other thing is, be proud. Anything you say is good, is great. I am proud of myself every single time I open my mouth. And then you never know who you're gonna help. So absolutely keep that in mind. I also stopped being a perfectionist. Like I said about the woman that shared for 10 seconds, but same thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, anything you say is good, and just be proud that you did it. And even if you do it for 10 seconds, and if you're a reluctant type, I challenge you to just do it for 10 seconds. And you can go from there. Baby steps. All right. Peace out. Thanks. Stronger Sober.